Someone asked on Reddit, what was the happiest moment of your life? Which story would you like to be the main hero of? Express your opinion in the comments. Store 1.
After 12 months of combat patrols along the Afghanistan-Pakistan border, it was finally time for our unit to head back home to Alaska. It was early August, and we knew the temperatures were expected to be around 70 degrees, but rain was just as likely as sunny skies. A beautiful summer day would be the icing on the cake, but honestly, that was the least of what we wanted at that point. On the last leg of our journey from Kyrgyzstan to Anchorage, several hundred of us boarded the first plane. It was a commercial jet from World Airlines. At the time, I was a 1LT, sitting in the front rows with other officers from the battalion. The enlisted soldiers were in economy class behind us. As we approached Anchorage, we flew over Denali, and everything was completely and perfectly clear. I'd never seen Denali in such clarity before. I realized we were flying into what was shaping up to be a perfect Alaskan summer day. I knew I was about to experience one of the best moments of my life. Kissing my girlfriend, who was waiting for me on the tarmac at Elmendorf Air Force Base, surrounded by beautiful mountains and that fresh, clean air. Clean air was a precious thing in Khost, Afghanistan. The anticipation I felt was so intense that my senses felt completely heightened. Life felt surreal, but the happiest moment of my life actually happened about 10 minutes before that kiss. As the plane's landing gear came down and we began our final approach, a strange silence fell over the hundreds of soldiers on board. It was one last moment of anticipation, one last chance for everything to go wrong, just like it had almost every time over the previous 12 months. One last moment of focus and awareness, but nothing went wrong. We touched down smoothly, and when the back wheels hit the runway, the hundreds of soldiers sitting behind us erupted in wild, joyful, unfiltered cheers and applause. Their jubilation was unlike anything I'd ever heard in my life. There were no filters. In that moment, I experienced and heard something completely pure. It was an unexpected gift from my soldiers that I will never forget, and for which I can never thank them enough. I will admit that the kiss from my girlfriend shortly after was pretty amazing too. I'm so grateful for this life.
Store 2.
I was working as a diving instructor in Egypt. One morning, a 14-year-old girl and her mom made a diving reservation. While we were getting our gear ready, the girl told me that swimming with dolphins was her dream. It was a really hot summer, and the water close to the shore was really warm, so dolphins were a rare sight at that time. Unfortunately, I told the girl that she shouldn't expect to see any dolphins on that dive. So, we dive in. The current is strong, and the visibility isn't great because the tide is stirring up the sand on the Red Sea floor. The dive is terrible. No turtles, no big fish. By the 45-minute mark, I decide to head back to the beach. Then, the visibility gets worse. Everything turns to sand, and I can't see more than 5 meters in front of me. I start to feel lost. I'm whispering to myself, please see, this little girl just wants to see a damn dolphin. Just give me a damn dolphin, not this horrible underwater sandstorm. Then, suddenly, as we get closer to the beach, the visibility starts to clear up. And I'm not kidding, right in front of us, there's a huge dolphin sitting on the bottom looking at us. It starts swimming toward us, passes by me, and begins to play with the girl, swimming in circles around her and making these little dolphin sounds. Then, it stays still on the bottom while the girl swims up to it, trying to touch it, and it starts swimming away just a little, playing a kind of hide and seek with her. I later learned that this is a behavior seen in pregnant dolphins. I was crying like a little kid behind my mask. Everything was a blur. The dolphin played with us for about 15 minutes, and then took us back toward the beach. As we surfaced, it swam around us a few times, and then took off. On the way back to the dive club, while the little girl and her mom were super happy, I was trying to convince myself that I wasn't crying and that everything was normal in the Red Sea. I'm a pretty Cartesian guy. I don't buy into this telepathy or dolphins are as smart as people nonsense. But man, it was an incredible experience. It was definitely one of the most beautiful, happiest moments of my life. Right up there with the time I got a Sega Master System for Christmas in the 80s.
Story 3.
My teenage sister became pregnant last year. Initially, we were angry with her and encouraged her to think about all possible options for the future. The case was classic. As soon as the man told my sister she was pregnant, he left. Fast forward a few months. We found out that the baby was likely to have a genetic disorder. And suddenly, it didn't matter that he was single, in high school, and broke. We were terrified. My sister was young and healthy, so it never occurred to us that there might be something wrong with the baby. We ran test after test, and although the chances of the baby surviving increased, the chances of the baby being stillborn were still bad. On her birthday, I saw her standing next to my sister holding her hand, and I was so scared. She was so pale and quiet. Then she screamed, and I realized what happiness and love really is.
Story 4.
The day I took a 10-hour train ride to finally meet a man. We went to the same university, had many mutual friends, and had been talking online for years. We attended the same events and were physically around each other but had never met. The timing was never right. After years of chatting, we rekindled our friendship after a long hiatus, and about a month later, I made the trip to meet him. I will never forget the butterflies in my stomach, the sweat in my palms, and the sound of the train taking me across the state to meet him. I will never forget the excitement I felt when I stepped onto the platform and finally saw him in real life before my eyes. About 5 years ago, when I first saw her picture, I thought to myself, she is perfect, and I told my best friend that I was going to marry her. I got off that train on June 16th. We got engaged in August, and a year later we got married. That was 5 years and 2 children ago. That's why I believe in soulmates, in luck and fate. About 10 years ago, I got a lump in my throat when I looked at her face in a photograph and thought that this could never happen, that I could never be that lucky. You never know what the world has in store for you. If a love is to be unforgettable, coincidences must begin to fly like birds on the shoulders of Francis of Assisi. For a long time, our paths had crossed. Our destinies were sealed, and neither of us knew it.
Story 5.
Sometimes I get a wave of pure happiness just relaxing at home with my girlfriend and my cat. I feel so relaxed and happy, like I don't need anything else in the world. I get the same feeling on a really nice sunny day, just driving somewhere together, listening to music with those gorgeous fluffy clouds in the sky. The destination is a beautiful garden or some other quiet place. I also felt extremely happy last year when I overcame my panic disorder and got on a plane to visit the Pacific Northwest. I almost cried when I got off the plane. I've always dreamed of going there because I love forests. On the Olympic Peninsula, looking at the rocky beaches, mountains, and beautiful trees in the rain, I felt so happy and alive. My girlfriend proposed to me on a beach in the misty rain near dusk. Another big hit was when I was at my friend's wedding and all my other old longtime friends were there. We were dancing and laughing together to the pop music of the 2000s. It made me think of when I was younger and we went out and my face hurt from laughing so much. In terms of family, I think of sitting around a table at my grandparents' house with my siblings, my mom and my grandmother, looking at family photo albums. I was also quite happy when I graduated from university, although I struggled a lot with my mental health.
Story 6.
The first time I kissed my partner was superficially cute, but cliché. However, I had been in an abusive and controlling relationship for about 1.5 years. At the time, it helped me realize how badly my girlfriend was treating me. Because of self-esteem issues and a lot of gaslighting from her, I was convinced that I deserved her abuse. The real issue was that she was deliberately depriving me of any kind of affection, especially physical affection. We didn't kiss or hug. In the last few weeks, as I was building up the courage to break up with him, he and I realized that we had feelings for each other. We were both aware of it, but we didn't talk about it much. Even though I was in a loveless, doomed relationship that was about to end, we felt it was wrong to act on our feelings for each other until it was completely over and we could both deal with it. I had just texted him when it happened. After that, there was no, "Will you go out with me?" We knew what we were at the time. But I didn't see him in person again until 18 days later when he came and spent the night there, and the next day I was able to go to an event. We met for dinner, he came over, and we sat on my bed and talked. I don't even remember what we talked about, but I remember one moment very clearly. The topic of conversation made him uncomfortable. I put my hand on his hand that was between us on the bed. He became silent and just looked at me, his eyes roaming over my face as if he was studying it. For some reason, I had a big smile, and when I went to pull my hand back, I said, "It's okay." Very suddenly, he took my hand in his, and with his other hand, he grabbed my cheek and pulled me to him. The kiss was so fast, it was over in an instant, but I can still feel it on my lips. I remember laughing with a big grin on my face afterwards, and he apologized meekly. We talked some more. I had no idea what about and for how long. Then, I interrupted him by saying, "I don't know, I'm just waiting for you to kiss me again." Everything was quite gentle and uncertain, slow-paced and awkward. Our noses bumped, our hair got caught in each other's glasses, and we probably laughed more at each other's lips than kissing. But the amount of pure joy I felt in that moment, immeasurable. For the first time, I felt incredibly loved, as if something I had longed for, desired, yearned for, was finally right in front of me. It was real, and it was mine. I'm tearing up even as I write this. We have been together for more than a year. To summarize, when you are deprived of something you need for a long time, even the simplest things that others don't care about can turn into the happiest moments of your life.
If you have a story you would like to share, please share it with us in the comments. Also, subscribe to my channel for more Reddit stories like this. And don't forget to turn on notifications. Take care, friends.